Oh, hey, Vicky's on. Hey, Vicky, how are you doing?
Hey, let me get off this phone.
All right. All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Do we have audio now, Alex? We should.
I'm not.
Hey, Billy, I saw your phone call. I was trying to get set up for this. Sorry about that. Um, I'm just sharing it to some groups. We get some. Oh, we got Cassidy, Vicky, Billy.
Yeah, I can't get my volume on. I can't hardly hear you.
Oh, you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it may not work with on your. I don't know how that works on your phone. We can hear you though. Awesome.
there?
Cassidy said China Boy can just about pass the started test. Yeah, we're just giving it a few minutes. Hey, Chris Moffat, just giving it a few minutes. I'm trying to share it to some of these groups. We were running behind. We were working with another state trying to get some stuff worked out. All right, I shared it to some groups. All right, Ralph, it's been a couple of weeks. What's been going on? Oh boy. Ah, there you are.
Huh?
It froze up or something.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Hang on just a minute. You can go ahead. I'm trying to get this thing up. It's not on my computer.
Hey Mick, how you doing? What do you need me to do, Ralph, for you to get it on
I
your
don't think
computer?
I got to get there when it just popped in. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna. Hang
Okay.
on a minute.
Alex Hood, to answer your question, I just got a text message. That's who's texting me now. It's going great. So I will reach out to you probably tomorrow and give you an update. And once Ralph gets back on, we'll get going. Sorry about this, guys. Ralph is a little challenged when it comes to technology. Hey, Chuck Darby, how you doing? Let's see. Under 2 month countdown to deer season. Oh yeah, I'm ready. I am definitely ready. I don't know about anyone else. Well, Ralph may come back on. There he is. Hey, Ralph.
All right. Hello, hello. A lot better.
All right. Let me hide this. So what's new in the tracking world, Ralph? We haven't been on in a couple of weeks.
Whew. Trying to help people set up pages and all. Lord of mercy. And starting to get ready to go to Pennsylvania, get things set up. Vicky's a lot to do with that. She's been on the ball.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Vicky she's promoted it with several newspapers. She has the game officer coming. I, I know she's watching. Vicky, if you can, just comment with everything you've been helping out with. She has been a tremendous help.
Yep.
She found the venue for us. She handled all that. She's been working with Brandon on scheduling the limited testing that he is offering. That is not us. Just so you guys know, we do not. This is not a dog event. It's a handler event. But Brandon, some people reached out requesting testing when they come, and Brandon said he's willing to do that. So that is on Brandon and Vicky.
Yep.
Vicky is helping Brandon organize that. I believe he said he could do 3 more tests if I'm not mistaken. So Vicky's been busy with that. Brandon's been busy. Since then, we have 2 new judges join our team. I'm drawing a blank right now. Darren Miner, in Maryland, and Chris Snell in Pennsylvania. I haven't made a post yet about Chris, but Chris he apprenticed on not only the started season lines, he also apprenticed on the finished lines. He's laid a lot of lines. He passed his dog that he trained on, his personal dog, on the started and season. So we're excited to have him in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And then we have 2 people in the final stages. I guess you'd say final stages. One apprentice judge in Iowa it's almost there, and we have an apprentice judge in Missouri that should be progress to full judge status soon.
Yep.
So a lot going on.
I gotta
get
this collar over to you so we can get it over to him too.
Yeah. Yeah, we need gonna do that. So that's another thing. Our tests require a Garmin and a collar, and this individual reached out to us, said, "Hey, I need some help finding a Garmin and a collar," and we got it together for him.
Yep.
So let's see. And then we've been working on next year's event schedule. We already have Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. We have those 4 on the books, and we're working on, I believe it's West Virginia, Tennessee, and there's several others that I may be forgetting, but we've been busy with all of them.
I don't think we've had this since we've booked the concert.
Yeah, I can't remember. So we are going to
You've been posting about it.
Right. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but Kinsey Wheeler, who is a country music singer, he finished second on season 20 of The Voice. You guys can look him up. He will be.
And he was opening for Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan, yes, that's the video I shared where he opened for Luke Bryan. He also played at the Grand Ole Opry, and yeah, he's sang with a lot of people. He will be doing a live acoustic concert at our Florida event on March 1st. So you guys don't want to miss out on that. Not only is Kinsey a great singer, he also has a pretty good tracking dog. This will be his first season tracking, but I have worked with his dog, and it's a legit dog.
Yeah. I was going to say something too. You're rocking.
About the rocking?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me fix that. The stupid dog's underneath me. There we go.
Quit blaming the dog. It's the trainer.
Yeah, my lab is underneath me, kept pushing on my feet. But that's Tom Hill for you. We were rushing. Normally, I would have had my camera set up and been on the tripod and all that, but we were handling some business in another state. But yeah, we're excited about that, and Louisiana event's going to be pretty big. Randy Duvall he's got a lot going on there. He's a lot of tests to be ran at that event.
Yep. He wants it to be a big one, or says it's going to be a big one.
Oh, it is. Yeah. That one is February. It's the third weekend in February. And the Georgia one, we had some dates up, but we may be looking at some other stuff on that. Gene Ferris, no one asked your opinion. So, one thing I think we need to talk about, Ralph, is as with tracking season just a couple months away. Sorry, Alex got me sidetracked here. With tracking season a couple months away, it's time to make sure that you have everything, all your equipment's ready, and make sure you are on your social media list. I know for sure on our state groups, we are fixing to start updating our list.
Yep.
And we've been working with a couple of groups in another state to try to get them set up.
Yep.
And Alex, as far as the dates go, if you go on our Facebook page, they are listed. One of them might be changing, and I'll get them on the website soon.
And Alex said something earlier. My truck's doing great.
I didn't see that one.
It was down at the bottom. He asked how my truck was doing.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Yeah, some reason I'm not seeing that one. I don't know if I might be missing some of the comments here.
About the 12th comment.
Yeah, I see way more than 12, but
from the bottom, from the first one. But it's doing good. So
I might have to pull it up on my phone too, because some of these comments aren't coming through, and that's happened before. Turn my sound down.
Andrew, it's got to be on your end as far as the sound, because it's all good on this end.
Yeah, so we really didn't prepare much for this, Ralph, did we?
No, not at all.
We were
lately.
Yeah, it's been wide open between between working with the other states and work life and not too much home life these days, we just got behind.
Yep. Still seems to be quite a bit of private testing being done.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I know Joe Tenney has some coming up this weekend in
Yep.
Ohio. Let's see. Yeah, he's got two scheduled for the 20th in Ohio. Then we got a couple scheduled. A couple scheduled in August. Let's try and pull it up, see where those were at. I think that's another one in Ohio, and then Brian Dagan said he has, I think, 7 or 8 people ready to test in Michigan. And then Andrew Mullins has some that's ready to test in Missouri on private tests. So we got a lot going on.
Yep.
Is there a place where someone that is looking can find a list of tested dogs? Okay, Andrew said 6 ready to test there. So Chuck, to answer your question, no, we do not have a find a tracker map or list or anything like that right now.
Well, ask him to explain. Is he just talking about the dogs that have been tested, or is he talking about what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just took that as, I guess we need clarification on that. Joe Tenney said 5 scheduled in the next month. Chris Moffitt said, too bad of all the trackers in Iowa, very few even want to. There's been a lot of dogs that Jeff has tested in Iowa, or I shouldn't say a lot, but a fair amount.
Yeah. And don't take it wrong, as this grows and things happen, they'll get on board because it's fun in the off season. A few years ago, we were the same way. We just didn't care about it, man. Now we love it as much as we do the tracking season.
Oh yeah. Randy's dog's causing chaos again. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people, and I've heard it several times this week about how ribbons don't mean anything, but ribbons clearly do. What they mean is someone has put in the time and effort to train their dog.
Yep.
And work with their dog in the off season. So it doesn't mean they have the best dog out there or they'll stack a bunch of deer on tailgates, but it does mean that they put in time with their dog.
Yep. Hey, Brandon. Good night, Michael. You getting a load there, ain't they yours, or are you training them?
Let's see.
And Vicky, yes, the stew's going to be ready by seminar time.
No onion rolls, Vicky. Not this time.
Don't get her started on that.
Yeah, now she calls you Mr. O. Oh man. That would be why. Now it's trying to log me out of this. This is what happens when we rush to get on here.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Now it's working.
Well,
I couldn't see all the comments before. Somehow there was a glitch in it and logged me out. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Because we were not prepared today.
when do we got quite a few different states? When does y'all's hunting season open? I know our Georgia will open. She done lost track of the
second weekend in September.
September. Yeah. So that'll start, and then the third week starts Florida in our area. Oh, we can't hear you, Kenny.
All right.
There you
Now
go.
we can.
There
Yeah,
you go.
it logged me out for some reason, but Georgia should be opening the
Second weekend.
The 14th.
Yeah. And good night. They start early out there in the Rockies.
Where's it at? September 2nd?
Yeah.
Not as early as South Florida.
Yeah.
Private
that's
lands
true.
open last weekend in July in South Florida.
Yep. Man, that's hot. Whoo-wee.
Yeah, I'm not going down there.
No.
Let's see. Maryland, September 6th. Yep, there's Darren Miner. We were talking about you earlier, Darren. Congratulations on completing your judge apprenticeship and becoming a judge with us.
Yep.
Brandon's asking if the stew is on seminar day.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we get some rain. We got rain today. I ran off the water, lightning storms, and then got home trying to do a bunch of work, and the weather was hindering the internet because we have satellite internet.
Yeah, goodness. That's right. South Carolina opens early. Whew.
Yep. I was invited to go hunt there August. When was it? 18th or something like that.
That's hot. God, I did that for 2 years up there. Whoo, that's hot.
So Gene Ferris has a question. Says, for those early tracks, do y'all carry decks? I do not carry it with me.
No. Do not.
About the only thing I carry is a flashlight and a handheld and a collar. Everything else stays in the truck, but every now and then I might carry some water if there's not a swamp nearby.
Yeah, I do. I carry pretty good backpack full of stuff, but water and Benadryl and stuff just to get me to the truck if something happens that I can start. I'm assuming he's talking about for snakes.
Yeah, snake bite.
Yeah, just I get it to where calm them down so I can at least mine are little and I can carry them to the truck. But
yeah, I'll admit I'm the worst about it, but I don't track in those easy open woods like you, Ralph.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, everyone talks about flatland tracking is easy. Come get you some of these swamps.
Good night. Yep.
Vicky Jean is in Mississippi. Let's see.
Yeah, somebody said something the other day about they just thought we GPS hunted or tracked. Like we just watched the dogs. They said, like we didn't get in the swamps. I was like, oh yeah, they go over the waders sometimes.
Oh, that was Vicky talking about we just set
Oh,
the
was
truck
it?
and turned the dogs out.
Oh, yeah, Big, that's right. Come on down here about September and get you some of this.
Yeah. Yep. Take some of these gators and snakes home with you.
Woo-wee.
Vicky said easy. Raised in the Delta mud. I'll take the Delta mud over what we got here.
Yeah, good much.
Yeah. Come get you some of this marsh muck. Who has rental waders for me? If you come down here and track, I'll buy you a pair of waders.
Yep.
We don't wear them though.
I do. I say I don't do mine for the water as much as I do just for snakes.
Let's see. So there was an event.
That's right, up at Longspur.
Yes, and Joe Tenney just texted me and reminded me about it. So I just asked him if he wanted to hop on. We'll see. Brandon C says, I don't think swamps is for me. Too many nope ropes. We were talking about that today, Ralph.
Yeah.
All right, Joe told me to send him a link, so here we go. You have to try the gumbo. It's not what you think. Friend killed Randy Vick said friend killed a rattler running tracks last week. We have killed them as well. They have been on the move. All right, John Davis says, do you guys teach the dog snake avoidance or just deal with it as it comes up? Some of us do snake avoidance. I know I have, Randy Vick has, Ralph, a lot of us has, Vicky has. So snake avoidance is definitely a thing. Also, I do. We have given some of our dogs the rattlesnake vaccine. I know there's controversy around that, but our vet is right in the heart of quail plantation country, and he said it works. He said that when it comes time for treatment, they typically take half the treatment. It's typically 1 vial instead of 2, which is a significant savings. He said not just that, it more than doubles the amount of time that you have to get them into a vet.
Yeah. And I was reading something on one of the other pages, but did you mention the percentage that he said?
No, I did not.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he say he had like 95% chance if they're on the vaccine that he can save them if we get them there within a certain amount of time?
Yes.
I mean, it was high. It was like,
oh yeah, crap.
That's awesome. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
All righty. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just gonna go down and fix my dryer vent here in a little bit.
You gonna do it live?
Yeah. Well, my wife's seen this hack on Facebook where you take the leaf blower and stick it in there and turn it on to blow out the dryer vent. And we found out very quickly that part of our dryer vent was pretty weak as it blew the lint all over the crawl space.
Oh boy.
So that's what I'm getting ready to go fix here in a minute.
And she saw that where?
Saw it on Facebook.
Now, if it had been TikTok, it'd have probably worked.
Definitely. So like she did it and I'm outside. I'm like, there's nothing coming out. And I go look in the crawl space and it's just a dust bomb down there. I'm like, well, that's going to be a fun one. But other than that, just plugging away at work and staying busy.
Yeah. So tell us about recent event that you, I guess you'd say, spearheaded the judging on.
Yeah, so we went down to Sean at Longspur.
Oh, we lost him.
Oops, sorry, got a call. Went down to West Virginia, and it was hot. And I left my house about 5 a.m. Got down there about 8:30. Kind of got the lay of the land, met everybody, bunch of real good people. Got out to the testing area that we had, and I think I'm in decent shape. And I got a pretty rude awakening on them mountains over there. Very steep terrain, very thick terrain. But me and Brandon powered through it, laying out the tracks, and then went back and started letting everything set. Had some food, just normal camaraderie and hanging out with everybody. Then once it came time to test, I think the first test was about 87 degrees and just a little bit of wind, not much. And this test basically went down the mountain, across the bottom, and then back up the mountain. And John was the first dog to test. So we set him up at the hit site and set him free. And I'll tell you, that dog is fast. I was pretty much running down the hill to keep up. And dog did great. They even took 2 breaks, just check the wound bed and give her some water about, 50 yards off that finish line. And I was so happy when he stopped to give that dog some water because I was struggling. We got to the
That
end
was
of
John
that one,
Hockaday,
and
right?
I was ready to puke my brains out. So I took a nice little break, but that dog ran that test in under 8 minutes. And it was almost picture perfect. She blew 190 by about 15 feet, I'd say, and self-corrected right back to it. Beautiful line. Then we took a break, got some water, tested the next dog, and that one was down a hill through like a cutout section and then across the bottom of the hill, then right back up as well. And that one was probably the steepest one we did. Luckily, that dog worked a little bit slower and wasn't as hard to keep up with, but another really nice line. That was Stacy Stout's dog, and it was fantastic. And then the third one was Jeremy and his dog Ruby, and she had 1 callback, but really a nice line. And I could tell when we did the callback, he knew something was off, and we were hitting that 40 yards, and I was trying to decide if the dog was going to swing back, but I kind of picked a tree, and I'm like, if she makes it to that tree, we'll pull her back. So got her headed back in the right direction. As soon as she hit the turn where she was supposed to turn, took her straight to the hide. A bunch of good working dogs. You guys frozen?
No, we were just so when you said John, you were talking about John Hockaday, right? You must not be able to hear us.
Are you there?
Can you hear us now?
Hey,
Hello?
can you hear us? I'll say no.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Sean Butler chimed in. Hey, Sean, how are you doing? All right, you there?
Hey, I'm back.
All right. So when you said John, you were talking about John Hockaday, right?
Yes.
So what breed of dog did he test?
He's got a Hanoverian hound.
Okay. And what were the other dogs?
There was the hound, and then GSP, and the last one was a Redbone.
Nice.
Cool.
So
yeah, how much of that did you guys hear before it got cut off?
We heard all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We also heard about you trying to blame your wife about a Facebook hack that you probably watched, but
it seemed like a good idea to me.
We had a question come in. from Dalton Shannon said wait times on a gut shot in South Carolina August time frame versus wait times on the late season cold season gut shot. Does weather make a difference? Yes. Yes, it does. I know Travis Sykes, he commented down here and said, no, I used to track in South Carolina when I hunted up there, 8 hours minimum. If it was shot in the evening, I didn't put on until the next morning. My experience is the hotter the ambient temperature, the quicker they die. You have that infection sets in a lot faster. If you don't wait longer when it's colder, I'm sure you experienced this, Joe. Would you put on a gut shot in 6 hours in Ohio?
No, not usually, unless it was really cold out. And even then, what's another 2 hours just to play it safe?
Yeah, most of the time, our deer especially early season in Florida, our gut shot deer is dead at 6 hours.
Yeah, I usually wait 6 to 8 just to play it safe. You know, to me, another 2 hours isn't going to hurt anything, and especially if we're not like pressed for time.
Right.
I'd rather err on the side of caution and just give it that extra little bit.
Yeah. To me, other things go wrong. So comparing, say, the chances of the meat going bad versus jumping out there and trying to get on it, I've only had a couple go bad, and it wasn't really because of a decision to wait. It was the guy didn't know about us or something, and it ended up being longer than we probably would have waited. But I've had so few, and we're tracking in 100, 105 degree weather sometimes. It just don't matter. Very few go bad.
No, but I have, as it gets colder, you know, if it's early bow season, you go at 6 hours, most of the time that deer's dead. But if we go and I'm talking Florida, Georgia, if we go at 6 hours when it's 25, 30 degrees out, that deer's going to be alive.
I'll wait the next day way quicker than I would during bow season. I'll shove them to the next morning for sure.
So Andrew Mullins asked a question, says, jumping out there, is there any thoughts on why we get some gunshot deer that live for days? It's all on shot placement. Yeah, most of the time, if they're hit and they live for days and then die, my experience is typically intestinal shot deer.
Yeah.
Or it was hit somewhere and infection got them. But most cases I've seen it's gut shot. I mean, intestine shot, not gut shot.
We don't get a ton of. See, I call the end of tracking season here the start of gun season, because we usually go pretty hard all through bow season. It's like once gun season hits, it's almost like someone flicks off a switch and you go from 10, 15 calls a day to 1 or 2 if you're lucky. Then it starts getting slim pickings. I've always noticed with muzzle loaders, it seems like my dog has struggled with those. I'm not really sure why, but it seems like there's rarely any blood.
Because you have a bloodhound.
Yeah, that's right. But I think with the muzzle loaders, I've noticed, and it's just maybe me. One, you don't get those power belts; they don't expand from what I've seen. I've even dug them out of deer, and I could have stuck the bullet right back in the barrel and shot it again. I felt like.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like, do the bullets tend to cauterize a little more as they go through?
So I've got some pictures. I'll share them. I'm not prepared right now. I have to dig for it. We bait up a deer and dispatched it 15 yards away with a muzzle loader. It was a 220 grain power belt with 150 grains of powder, and it did not pass through.
I had the same thing with my power belts.
Yeah, so I never recommend power belts. I personally recommend either Barnes or the Hornadies. I like both of them. They seem to leave the best blood trail. And but as far as Andrew's question, because he came back on and said gut shot, I have not found a gut shot that lives for days. I think it's being confused with an intestinal shot.
Yep.
Do you agree, Ralph?
100%. I tell people all the time, if it don't act like a gut shot, it probably is intestine. And that usually proves out to be correct.
Yeah.
I
So
had a liver shot last year. 32 hours after the shot, it was still alive.
Yeah.
That was in the peak of the rut too.
yeah, see, we do not get to experience the type of rut that you do.
No, yeah. Nope. They call it a rut down here. It's not all combined in a week or 2 weeks of, it's, y'all can tell when it starts and when it stops. Ours just, or at least my experience being up north hunting some, ours down here, we get to see it all for 2 months of seeing a deer chase here or there, but y'all, you're chasing 10 doe out there, and we just don't get to see that much.
No.
Yeah, it really. What I've noticed the past couple of years, it seems like the phone calls start really picking up that last week of October, and then to about the second to third week in November, kind of depending on the area. And it's like certain areas will turn on and then turn off, and then turn on and then turn off.
Yeah, so we got a lot of questions coming in, but to stay on this same topic, Vicky asked, what's gut versus intestines? Well, intestines are intestines and guts are guts. No. she should expect an answer like that from me. So Vicky, Ralph does a pretty good job of this at his seminars, but the best way to tell is the odor, and there is a color and consistency difference.
Yeah, and my dog's, not saying everybody's will, but you can tell pretty darn quick. To me, your dog struggles too. A dog's not going to struggle on a gut shot. The intestine, man, mine have the hardest time on intestines. And they just struggle. It's slower. It's harder to find. Me and Travis had one last year that we got to it. Dogs just wasn't picking up. We just kept going, and the dogs, you could tell they smelled something. They weren't picking it up. And I finally just said, Travis, this is not acting like, because they thought it was a gut shot. And the girl that was in the stand with the hunter, she followed us into the swamp, and we were tracking it in there. And I said, man, this thing just isn't acting like a gut shot. This is acting like an intestine. And she went, well, I got a video. I'm like, holy smokes. So we sat there in the swamp watching the video, and sure enough, it entered right in front of the leg towards the opposite back of the other leg. And Travis's dog picked it up more than mine was, so he just kept going. We finally pulled dogs to it and finally jumped it, but that thing ran like nothing was wrong with it, and I've never done it, but I mean, there's people that's 4 or 5 days later, day after day, they keep putting back on it, keep putting back, and it takes a long time for a deer to die, if they're gonna die.
Oh yeah, I've recovered them 3 or 4 days later, putting on it every day. Ralph, Vicky's got another question for you.
Oh, I didn't see it. Hang on.
I got it up on the screen. She says, what is gut?
Come on.
Vicky, we're going to call you afterwards.
Holy shit. Yeah.
It's the one with the corn all over the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, what you do is you wipe it right under your nose and wipe it on the top of your lip.
And then taste it.
Yeah, and taste it. And you can tell the difference. A good tracker will do that.
Yeah, I do it. I know you guys do too.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Once I
Oh,
do
now
that,
she's
I
good.
just put
Hey,
the dog back in the truck.
hey, Joe. No offense here, but now she's turning Yankee on us. She's trying to play on our words of using gut, and she's saying stomach.
It's pop, not soda.
All right, so I'm gonna go back
And,
up here to some questions.
well, let's hang on
oh,
one
go
second.
ahead.
Let me answer one
Go ahead.
more. It's like in bow season, I have every year I have people. I got a gut shot. How do you know? Well, I saw it on the arrow. I ask the question, did you smell it? Because most people don't look at the difference and don't smell it. And typically intestines, especially if you've waited a little while after the shot, it doesn't have a stench like gut does. And so before I ever even leave the house, I ask them to wet the arrow and re-smell it because it'll reactivate that smell. And half the time we'll determine on the phone it's not gut, it's intestine. And we might have a little different game plan for that versus if it's gut, but that extra little step there to get them to smell the arrow before you ever get there. And if they don't know or can't give me an answer, I'm going to try to smell it. I'm going to do that before we ever even let the dogs out. I want to smell it, not look at it. Because even me, sometimes I can't tell the difference just visually, especially if it's at night with a flashlight. That's tough sometimes.
And in Vicky's case, you gotta not only smell it but taste it.
Oh yeah, that's the crucial part. You got to taste it.
All right. So Dalton Shannon asked a question. He said, "Mock tracks. How do you make the most realistic mock track to resemble the real thing? No person scent, great hit sites, wound beds. First thing, you cannot eliminate the human scent. It's impossible. You could use all the rubber boots you want, gloves, long sleeve shirts. You're not eliminating it. There's going to be human scent.
Plus, why are you wanting to eliminate that off of a mock track?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what
it's
you really deal with because most hunters have gone and looked for the deer. You just got to figure out how far they've been. So they're going to have to deal with that human scent too.
right. And but the human scent dissipates quicker than the rest of the scents in most cases. I mean, I get a dog typically within 5 weeks. I can have them trailing over 24-hour lines. And so as far as laying the most realistic, we had this conversation earlier in another group in another state. I am personally a fan of tracking sticks for the most realistic, because of how the scent is transferred. That the interdigital pheromone is secreted through the hair follicles, and a stick is going to keep that leg up vertical. It's going to brush the vegetation in a natural manner as it like the deer is walking, and you get less bone contact from like where you cut the legs and putting them in shoes. However, when you're running a lot of mock tracks, and shoes are definitely the way to go. It's just quicker. You can do certain things to keep it very consistent, but the total scent profile is way more than just a hit site. I personally, I don't use blood. We use blood in tests because that's what people expect. I don't care if there's blood on my test line. I'm not looking for blood. I use hooves only from deer that's been shot and ran. I'm not really worried about a great hit site in my training. I'm not worried about wound beds in my training. The only thing I do with a wound bed in a testing platform is it gives me a reference point to go back to if for some reason we start struggling and I need to restart the dog. But main thing is just get out there and lay line. Wayne Reese says, "What brand snake boots does Florida Georgia guys like? It's time for a new pair." I don't like any of them, but I typically wear the lacrosse rubber snake boots. Ralph, I know you wear the Dan's chaps.
with the lacrosse boots.
Right. So if you want just a boot, I would say lacrosse.
Yep. They're the best for walking too.
Yeah. Anything not rubber, any snake boot that is not rubber is going to leak.
Hey guys, I got about 5 more minutes and I got to hop in this crawl space.
Right.
I had 2 more things I wanted to say about West Virginia. One is when we were laying those lines, Brandon was there training with me for his judge apprenticeship, and he wore the boots on the first 2 lines, and I did the boots on the 3rd line, and that 3rd line ended up being the easiest one of the day. It was kind of funny. We thought that was going to be the hardest one.
Oh,
So,
he believed that?
yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, Joe. What did you think of Brandon?
Great guy. I mean, real attentive to detail. I mean, you can tell he's loving this and really into it.
Could you tell he's put in the work?
Oh yeah, we went to do his, like we had a couple little critiques, but nothing really, and that was just kind of the review before you get started. A couple things that to improve on, but all in all, he did a great job. When it came to the actual judging part, I think he was kind of having the same problem I did at first, which was just shut up and follow. Don't, give clues or advice or anything like that until the end.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to ask that because we believe in transparency, and we do have some naysayers out there, and you had no idea that I was going to ask you that, so I wanted a raw, honest answer, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, the best part was when we got up to the one that Brandon was judging, and he goes to tell what happened at the hit site. He's like, well, I was sitting about 400 yards over there and shot this deer with a 22 Magnum over here. And it was just funny because we just, who uses a 22? So we kind of got a real good laugh about that.
Yeah.
So then after we did all their testing, we sat down. One of the guys brought some blue crab that he had just caught the day before. And he was cooking that all day, so we got to eat real good down there and some fresh walleye.
Ooh.
Then after that, we went and took Meadows' test. We ran her on Sean's level 1 testing. And when we started, it was me and John, because John was running his as well.
Daddy, I saw a mini spider at John's.
Kill it. Hey, I'll get to you in a second. Kill the spider. Get it, girl. So me and John both were testing about the same time in the same area, and it was about 90 degrees, and you guys know how I worry about my dog in that heat. But we get up there, we drew straws to see who goes first, and John ended up going first. And as he's testing, there's this thunderstorm rolling in, and it sounded like it's going to be really bad. It ended up blowing over us without getting wet, and the wind went to dead zero. So by the time they got back to us, Meadow was already panting pretty hard. We got to the hit site, and I showed it to her, and at first she was like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I'm done. So then it's like, all right, is this going to be embarrassing for me? Because the dog's going to just refuse to track because she's hot. So we sat down, gave her some water, and kind of pushed her in the right direction. She ended up taking the line, and she missed the 190. We brought her back, and then she kind of got off trail a little bit. And some people might be mad at what happened next, but I was happy about it. Sean could tell we were kind of headed off in the wrong direction, dead uphill. And pulled us back a little bit sooner on our call back. And I was very thankful for that because he could tell the dog was hot. So we took 4 water breaks. I think she drank like 2 whole bottles of water. And it was getting to the point where I'm like, if she stops again, we're going to call this. And then the last stop for water, we were probably 50 to 80 yards from the end. And then I think Sean could tell that the dog was tracking just fine, and he started testing me. So she's tracking, and he said, "What are you thinking right now, Joe? What do you think she's doing?" So I kind of went through her cues and how I was reading her. And he's like, "So what are you going to do?" And for about 10 seconds, I was really debating pulling her off and restarting her. Decided just to go with my gut and said, I'm just going to follow her. Like, I think she's tracking. It looks pretty good. And then we ended up getting to the end, and she passed her WGT1 test while we were there.
Awesome.
So that was pretty exciting to have a UBT ribbon, an ABT ribbon, and now I got a WGT patch on the wall.
Cool.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Has anybody else done that?
Not that I'm aware of. As far as what me and Sean could see, I think I'm the first team to accomplish that.
Awesome.
Pretty happy with that. I mean, they're all level 1 tests, so I think next summer we're gonna go after, see if we can't get a level 2 on each one.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Make sure it's nice and hot.
And
yeah. It was
one
hot.
more thing. I know you got to go, but you can attest to this from being out there. Even though it's not tracking, like live game, man, that whole day like that's just fun, camaraderie, and getting around other trackers and doing things and rooting them on. I mean, I don't know how y'all are. I never hope somebody doesn't pass. So it's just awesome when everybody achieves what they came to do. It's fun.
Yeah,
There is a question for you real quick before
Yeah.
you go. Brian is asking, did they set that WGT track with tracker ID?
No, they used hooves.
Gotcha. Well, I know you got to go, so I appreciate you hopping on and giving that recap.
Yeah, no problem. I know I got, I think, 2 tests this weekend, 2 or 3 that are going to be signing up for August 4th. And then I've got 1 or 2 more. The Ohio list where we put all the dogs together, we usually close that about mid-August. So I'm hoping we'll get a couple more that I'll want to squeeze in right before the cutoff date.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate all the hard work, Joe, for sure.
Yep.
Oh, no problem. And I'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
See you.
Thank you.
Yep. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
So, Ralph, we had a question come in regarding the mock trails. The hardest thing for dogs to grasp can be coming out of a bed. Why wouldn't you worry about beds in training? I don't have an issue with my dogs coming out of a bed. But what I would rather train for, and if you do have an issue, I think you may be seeing, is them struggling with the scent pool situation, which we do train for scent pools. So, which I feel is more important than a bed itself, because typically if you're having an issue at a bed, it's due to a scent pool.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Ralph?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's a per dog thing to me. Like mine do not even slow down for a bed.
No, mine neither.
Mine blow through them so fast they don't even. Most people, say, "Oh, my dog found the bed and this and that." I rarely find them, and I follow my dog's line a lot. And I hardly ever see them just because I'm trying to keep up with the dog. I don't look for them. If I see them, I go and do it. Probably where I find more beds than anything is on the back track. Like if we jump something, I start going backwards to see where they jumped it, because I'll mark that. And I found some doing that to where, you can check your blood, make sure just the color of things and what's going on and whether it's worth pursuing, other means to try to do something. And a lot of times I see the evidence, and we go back to the truck because it's not something that's fatal to me. But I think other dogs are slower and they pay attention to things and I'm not going to say hung up. They just spend more time at the bed, but mine aren't that way. So I don't have a lot of experience with these dogs right now with it because they don't stop.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I've trained over 1,000 dogs to date, and I'd never really have any. I mean, don't get me wrong. We do some wound beds, but I'd never really have a dog that just stops at it. I have had some that'll roll around in blood a little bit if we put some blood in the wound bed, but that they don't get hung up. They blow right through it. But where we do see it is the scent pools. And like I said, we do train for that without a doubt.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers that question. We'll go back up here because Dalton had another question. Does a rutting buck put down the same pheromones as a non-rutting buck when shot / mortally wounded? Yes. There are some extra scent in there, but not as far as pheromones. The pheromone is the declining health pheromone is the declining health pheromone. You know, you're going to have different scent as far as your tarsals and, you know, other rutting scents. But as far as the pheromone goes, it doesn't change.
I think to me, more than anything, and I know that's not part of the question, even though they're hurt, they're not going to go lay down if they're in the rut. They're going to push. And I see that not a ton because we don't get to see that often to me, but I have seen it, and it gets pretty frantic when they do that because it's hard to make sense of what's going on until you figure it out. And then it's like, okay, holy crap. Now I got to go to another game plan because just following on the track, there's so many, they cross their own paths so much. It's tough.
Yeah. So Benjamin replied again, says scent pools are different than the interdigital being gone when a deer gets up and isn't putting off distress. That's not how it works. The interdigital doesn't just go away.
No.
You know, if it gets up and it's not giving off a declining health pheromone, you're not going to recover that deer anyways. So
not from it dying.
Right. Yeah, so I'm not sure where that information came from, but that's definitely not scientific. You know, the scent's there. Like
it's
I said,
anywhere it ain't there.
Right.
And if it ain't, you got a different ball game you're dealing with.
Now, what Randy said here, usually the hunters lose the trail at a wound bed, and that makes it tougher for the dog, and that's because they grid searched that area. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to because I know Randy that we have all experienced that where they trail it to a wound bed where they jumped it up. Now everyone, their brother, goes out there and grid searches. Here's a good one. Have you ever seen your dog it's tracking eat the deer droppings? Oh yeah. Especially Ralph's dogs. They are crappy.
I was waiting for the other word.
Oh, man. Now see this. Now here's a comment that on lead I would say it happens more. I definitely have to disagree. A lot of people have this misunderstanding about on lead versus off lead. I track both. Just like Vicky thought that all we do is turn the dogs out away at the truck, like many other people thinks that. I'm step for step behind my dog. And I know you are too, Ralph.
As best I can, yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we'll take shortcuts around big, thick cypress heads or chest deep swamps and all that. But for the most part, I'm step for step behind my dog.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Wilson I got to share this one. He says, "What if my dog is scared of trees?" So his dog is here for training now,
What?
and so his dog was going through a fear stage, and we. So I knew his dog was getting it and could retain it, but it was afraid of everything. So I called him up. I was like, "Hey, man, I need you to come up here and work with us, and let's make a decision as what we're going to do from this point forward. If we're just going to wait for him to age a little more and mature, or what we're going to do." This is hilarious. John convinced himself that the dog was afraid of his snake boots, took his boots off, and was out there handling the dog without his boots, thinking that's what it was. Long story short, we found some tactics that worked for his dog, and a few weeks goes by, and his dog is trailing 24 hours old in 90-degree temps at a half mile long. So it was just going through a fear stage.
Yeah, see, Kerree jumped on here. Hey, Kerree.
So Andrew Darby said, "I think beds are a great indicator of if your deer is dead or not. They can give you a lot of information about shot location." I agree, but as far as a training standpoint is where we were talking about. I personally don't see a big benefit in it during the training. Like I said, we do it, but I don't think it's as important as other aspects. Let's
Hey,
see.
Renee.
Kerree Patterson says, "When you're on lead, there's a higher chance for accidental correction. I think this is why some things happen more on lead for some." I agree with that. I see it all the time, especially, like Kerree knows it. She's judged a bunch of dogs. We see people correct their dogs more than they need to without even realizing it.
That's why we unclip.
Yeah. But as we've been dealing with a lot more people and more on lead states recently, Ralph, especially in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And a lot of them just have that misconception of how off lead trackers work.
Oof.
You take out a lot of human error.
Oh yeah.
I listened to one podcast that said that a dog cannot be trained to stay on a wounded deer trail, and it'll just run whatever it comes across. Do you see that?
No. Nope, not at all.
My dog will find a new home if it does that.
Yep. Plus, I think it takes out. I mean, I've had, and I'm just speaking obviously of my dogs, but and I've seen others. Sometimes it takes them a while to check things out, figure things out. My hat's off to them. My God, I'd die before they ever even get straightened out sometimes, because they are checking every trail, going down, coming back. I've learned, like with my dog, about 80 yards, and it's moved out to probably 120 now. But there was a time to where 80 yards, if she went past 80 yards, go to her, because she was on the trail. Other than that, she like set her own little perimeter. I didn't want to be on that track. I didn't want to be on lead for that, because it took a little while, to figure something out. Do just whatever reason. I'm like, my God, and I see these people on lead. My hat's off to them, because my God, that's a lot of walking when the dog can figure it out, and you just let them. You're close to them, but you're letting them run out and inspect things, and Not to say that we don't know where well, sometimes you don't know because the hunters don't even know what happened, or they're wrong about what happened. So you got to sit there and let them check a hit site out. And I don't see how they do it, to be honest. It's tough.
So Kerree shared something here, said, I haven't been on, maybe it's been said, may need to let everyone know if they track off lead, they need the deer dog permit. So I did contact FWC about this. This is for Florida, by the way. So that is for wildlife management areas. They have a new program with the deer dog permit. State land or private land has had a deer dog permit program, but it's property specific. But there is a new program that is for state lands. Now there is a clause in there for tracking on lead tracking dogs. So make sure you read up on those laws, like Kerree said. And we appreciate you bringing that up, Kerree.
Yep.
And then Kerree said, I feel sometimes the beginning takes a long time, a lot of times because the hunter and their friends already looked all over. Absolutely.
Ooh. And they'll tell you that every time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I pulled up and have 15 people walking out of the woods, but they hadn't looked for it.
Oh, yeah. Travis will tell you about that.
Yeah, so that's, and I guess that's where I'm going at with like the where he was talking about the wound beds and all that. To me, there's so much more stuff to focus on in training that will create more issues, like grid searches, road crossings, scent gaps, back trails, scent pools. That you're going to gain a lot more benefit from that than just a wound bed. Yeah, Fifi on another dog. We trained for that.
Yep.
Jason Bell said, a little off subject. Ralph's favorite place to track, Okefenokee Swamp in Fargo. I am so glad that you and Jason have taken over Fargo, and I don't have to go there as often. Because for many years there was no tracker over there, and it was me or Randy Vick going there. And then Randy gave it up on me, and would call me, "Hey, you want to go to Fargo?" Whew, that's some rough country.
Rough, thick, and got a mighty at the gators. Whew.
Yeah, about like my hunt club.
And that.
You got to experience that too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, looks like the questions are winding down. If y'all have any last minute questions, feel free to ask them real quick. If not, I got a few couple of conference calls to hop on.
Yep.
Well, Ralph does.
Yeah.
We'll give it a couple. We'll give it a minute or so. If nothing comes in, then. And Ralph, we did miss the last 2 weeks. We're gonna try to do this next week.
Yeah, it was fine. I'm in town, so we're good.
Let's see. Yep. I will be around as well. So.
Yep. We still got to go over and see that venue in Florida. I want to get over there. So
yeah, we got to do that. So, all righty. Well, we're gonna hop off here, and we appreciate everyone for tuning in.
Yep. See y'all next week.